Tvjunkie has added something which is so important. It's like the meta-theatrical issue, which are quite right. I overlooked and I forgot. Tvjunkie says, you forgot one. I was talking about polling and saying that, polls may be garbage, but garbage has value. We look at we look at people's waste to see who they are, what sort of character they are, what they're throwing out. We also, look at people's personal waste to check their health. And Tvjunkie says, you forgot one. When the pollsters do their polling, what the media situation and the political situation is at that moment influences the answers considerably. Farage scores high now because he is being seen to take the right stand on Sunak's D-Day disaster. It is a reflection on the here and now. Had the pollsters asked those wanting Farage which Conservative Party policies Farage supported, other than Brexit and immigration restrictions, many would struggle to find an answer. Absolutely. And had the question been framed differently, like which person do you think best represents the values and policies of the Tory party, had that been the phrasing of the question, I doubt many would have replied, Farage. So the poll does not express support or confidence in Farage taking over and saving the Tory party. It reflects distrust and disappointment with the Tory party and its politicians. Absolutely and fundamentally the case. I think in some ways I did cover some of that, but I think it's so important to recognise the impact of the media on polling, and whatever is happening on that day influences how people respond. Just as people's own personal lives influence how they respond, in a way that perhaps when it comes to the actual poll, people are perhaps a little bit more dispassionate, a little bit more analytical, antiseptic about it. Certainly when it comes to postal votes, I think that's definitely the case. And postal votes are already, I think they're already here. I'm not sure whether I've already got one, but I maybe not. Maybe they're not yet here. But the postal votes will determine this election, because it will be the postal votes that the one nation Conservatives use for the most part. And if they don't use those votes, that is where the Conservative future is determined. So the Conservative future will be determined in the first few weeks of the election campaign. Once the manifestos are out, it will be determined within a couple of weeks, rather than waiting right the way through to the end. So polling, which is going to take place perhaps not the end of this week, but the end of next week, will be significantly more telling than polling that is taking place now, because people at that point will have cast their vote. Of course, at that point, they may not choose to tell pollsters which way they have voted, what they have voted for, but that vote will already be cast in many Conservative households. When it comes to the Labour vote, Labour has a tradition of going out and voting in person, and so the bigger that vote is, will determine how big the Labour Party activists have got the vote. But I think the vote is going to be determined by how many Conservatives fail to vote. That's my thought.